Hey guys, today's video I wanted to talk about how to run a marathon under 4 hours. This is a specific time that a lot of athletes around the world are trying to break. And really, once you're under 4 hours, you're really getting to the point where you are not only a highly competitive marathoner, but you're running a time that very few athletes around the world are able to run consistently. And I think that anything really under 4 hours, in my opinion, is very, very competitive. So if you're at, if you're at 4 hours and 30 minutes or 4 hours and 15 minutes, and you're trying to get to that 3 hour and 59 minute or faster time, there are things that you can do to not only destroy this barrier, but get to a point where you can sustain 9 minutes and 9 seconds per mile over the entire duration of the marathon. I have a course on RunDreamAchieve.com called the Sub 4 Hour Marathon Mastery Course. You can click on courses.rundreamachieve.com, or you can go to rundreamachieve.com, click on courses, the courses tab in the menu. And what I basically cover in that video, or in that particular course, is every specific topic that you need to really drill down on in order to be able to sustain that 26.2 mile distance at 9 minutes and 9 seconds. We cover nutrition, race pace training, mindset, recovery, tempo runs, other specific workouts that you need to be doing in order to become a 3 minute and 59 second marathoner or faster. The course also concludes with a 16-week training schedule where I basically set you up for success in regards to knowing what you need to be doing on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis in order to run 3:59:59 or faster over the marathon distance. To break 4 hours, you have got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's easier said than done, I know, but you have to get to a point where that 9 minutes and 9 second mile pace feels more in control. You're not as fatigued. You're not as intimidated anymore by the pace. I think that's what gets a lot of athletes in the marathon, is we're able to sustain the pace for a specific distance, but we have issues being able to sustain it for the entire distance. You know, how many times have you come across athletes? Maybe you've done it yourself, where you said after the race, "Well, I was on pace for 14 miles, but then the big but, comes into play, where we start making excuses. Well, I was on pace for 14 to 15 miles, but, I started slowing down, or I just couldn't put it together, or maybe I ran too many miles." There's a lot of excuses that we talk about when it comes to preparing for the marathon distance. But the bottom line up front is you need to be able to start the race and end the race at 9 minutes and 9 seconds per mile or faster. And the only way to do that is to start training much faster than that 9 minutes and 9 second mile pace. All of us, we all can run a few miles at that pace, but there's a big difference. It's an art form to be able to do it over a long period of time. So, how to run a marathon under 4 hours and do it more effectively is going to involve you doing tempo runs, longer paced or longer duration tempo runs, not just short tempo runs. A lot of times marathoners, we can go out, we'll focus on doing shorter tempo runs, maybe between 3 miles and 6 miles. When I was training for the marathon, well, I still am training for the marathon, but when I was training to break 2 hours and 22 minutes, I got my tempo runs out to around between 12 and 15 miles in length. And when you're doing tempo runs, you want to really zero in on your anaerobic threshold. That is the key on how to run a marathon under 4 hours, is you improve your lactate tolerance capability. You cannot improve your lactate tolerance by going out and running easy every single day. Now, that being said, running easy is still critically important. It's absolutely essential that you slow down on your easy days. You have to take it much easier so you can recover from those hard anaerobic workouts. When you're going out on the track and you're doing 6 times 1 mile on the track, it's say like 6 minutes per rep with a 2 to 3 minute recovery between sets. you've got to really focus in on the following 48 hours, because your recovery period is where you get the benefits of your hard work. Okay, so if you're doing a track workout on Monday and you go out the next day and you do a 10-mile moderate run at 155 beats a minute, if you're wearing a heart rate monitor, you're not getting the benefit of that hard effort that you did on, say, that Monday on the track. I always gave myself 48 hours. I would do 48 hours of rest after a hard workout. And that's how I was able to improve from 2 hours and 43 minutes to 2:19 for the marathon. I always focused on that recovery period. So on, this particular question of how to run a marathon under 4 hours, you have to pay attention to what you're doing on your recovery days. Are you taking it easy? Too many runners are running too fast on their easy days when they need to be backing off. It takes the same amount of discipline and focus on recovery days oftentimes as it does on our hard days. And we're very disciplined on, going out and doing hill repetitions or track workouts or fartlek runs or tempo runs on the road, but we still are too caught up on, well, what pace am I running on my easy days? It doesn't matter. You need to be running relaxed and be able to recover, so when you go to that next hard anaerobic workout, or that next VO2 max workout that we talk about in these other videos I've made. If you're brand new to the channel, I welcome you. Click subscribe, click on the bell icon, leave me a comment below, let me know where you're currently at in the marathon. Leave me a like. I definitely appreciate all the support here on the channel. For me to make the best content here and to make the best videos, I need to know what your specific questions are. If this is a particular goal that you're seeking, of how to run a marathon under 4 hours, you're trying to run 3:59:59 or faster, then you have to pay attention to the fundamentals. You cannot skimp on any of these principles. I know what I'm talking about. I've been running for 28 years. I broke the 2 hour and 20-minute marathon barrier, not without failures myself. I dealt with running 250s, 240s, 230s before I ever broke 220. And I had more failures. Well, how can anybody really say a failure is a 250? Okay, so I think it's relative compared to the athlete. Nothing was really, I should reword it. I think it's more of a learning experience. When you run slower times, it's not necessarily a failure, but you learn from those mistakes. You learn what areas of your race you need to work on. And, was it a pacing issue? Was it a hydration issue? Were you taking in enough calories? Were you taking in enough fluids? Those are really key areas that you need to really focus on here in 2020 if you want to run 3:59:59. A big problem I'm seeing with a lot of not only commenters but people that I've known over the years, athletes, is they do not practice this enough, and that's hydration. You need to take in sufficient fluid and enough calories, and especially the marathon distance, to break a 4-hour marathon. If you neglect this, it doesn't matter. All of that hard work that you put in prior to the start of your upcoming marathon, whether it's Boston in April or Berlin, and I think Berlin's in September, Chicago in October, whatever race you're focusing on coming into later in the year, I want you to really focus in on practicing your hydration. Make sure in training that you're taking in enough fluid, you're practicing how much fluid you can take in during a long run, and then practicing taking in more calories. You also need to practice not taking in any calories in training, so you teach the body to handle that. But in a race itself, you do not want to run a marathon without taking in enough calories, which you can do that. You can keep a gel packet in your shorts, take one at, say, mile 7. Usually in marathons, they usually have one around mile 17, usually around mile 18, because that's around where most athletes hit this so-called wall we talk about. And the reason why, I've said this in other videos, I want to bring this up again in terms of how to run a marathon under 4 hours, is the body at any given time has approximately 1,800 calories of glycogen storage stored up in the body. We burn about 100 calories per mile. So if you're not teaching the body to burn fat at race pace and to conserve carbohydrates, and the only way to do that is to train at your tempo runs, your anaerobic threshold efforts, where you're training at a heart rate between 164 and 174 beats a minute. You want to be able to teach the body to burn fat at race pace and conserve carbohydrate. That way you don't experience a wall. When I ran 2:19:35 at the 2007 California International Marathon, I didn't hit a wall, but I will tell you I was hurting at mile 23. I was still at 5 minutes and 11 second mile pace through 20 miles, which we hit in 1 hour, 44 minutes and 5 seconds. But you're still going to hurt regardless. But what you don't want to do is you do not want to experience a wall. You want to start, if you're going to be hurting, you want to be hurting in those last 3 miles of the race and not start hurting at like mile 14 or 15. So I hope that makes sense. Again, you want to teach the body to burn fat and conserve carbohydrates. And you do that by doing those VO2 max workouts where you're running closer to 95 to 100% of your maximum heart rate. You're training at maximum effort. Now, granted, we can only spend seconds to a few minutes training at that pace, but you're running so much faster than your race pace that you're teaching the body to burn fat more efficiently at race pace and conserve carbs, so you have that glycogen at the latter stages of your race rather than running out at mile 16 or 17. This is a big reason why those gels are right there at mile 17 or 18. It gets that immediate sugar boost that we need at the most critical part of the race. So I hope that makes sense. It's very important that you ingest those calories in the race that your body desperately needs. Okay, you want to have a combination of lightly diluted sugary drinks and water in the race. The greatest thing about practicing it in practice hydration is you can make those mistakes in practice and don't make it in the race. So how to run a marathon under 4 hours, these are just a few key areas. This is just a brief overview of what I cover in the sub 4 hour marathon mastery course. I'll leave a link below in this video. You can also check or just type in the link that's on this video, and that will give you some more information on how to get to the information page about the sub 4 hour marathon mastery course. If you're serious about running 3:59:59 in 2020, then you need to take these specific fundamentals and principles and put them into practice. I know from experience what it takes to run fast over the 26.2 mile distance, and it takes commitment, it takes focus. You need to be not neglecting any area of what we've covered in this video. Hydration, training at VO2 max, which is, like I said, you're running at near your maximum heart rate. That's examples of that are 16 by 400 meters on the track at your 3K to 5K race pace. Repeat 2 miles on the track between your 5K and 10K race pace with minimal breaks in between reps. An example of one of the workouts I did when I was leading into breaking 220 was 3 by 2 miles on the track, under 10 flat each, at altitude at 6,400 feet, with a 5-minute recovery between each rep. Extremely difficult. I was also doing it solo. I didn't have any runners. I didn't have the big, Kenyan-born soldier athletes that are at the Army World Class Athlete Program back in 2007. I was a member of the U.S. Army World Class Athlete Program from 2007. Arrived there in February of 2007, and left in February of 2010. So it was myself and Dan Brown, who was a 2-time Olympian, ran 2:11:35 for the marathon. Only Dan was training out in Oregon, and I was training in Colorado Springs, so I didn't have anybody around me. I didn't have until later when we did get some really good longer distance runners in. Kenny Foster is an example. He came in with a 2:29 personal best, left with 2:19:49. We had another athlete, Troy Harrison, who came in with a 2:29 and left with a 2:22. And then now, obviously, the Kenyan-born soldier athletes that are at the Army WCAP team now, our top guys like a 2:11 guy. There's numerous guys well under 2:20, 2:18, 2:19 range, 2:17. So there are times where you're going to not have athletes with you in these workouts, and you've got to really focus in and stay focused to get the workout in and get the work put in. So you can't always rely on teammates, but if you have that luxury, definitely utilize it, because you're always going to do more with a team than you can do by yourself. So hope these tips have been helpful. If you're brand new to the channel, I welcome you. My name's Nate Pennington. I've been running for 28 years. founder of RunDreamAchieve.com. I'm a 2:19:35 marathon specialist, so I can talk on this topic of how to break 4 hours and how to run a marathon under 4 hours. So I hope these tips have been helpful for you. If you have a specific question you need me to answer, or you have a topic that you want me to cover in my next video, leave me a comment below. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know what your thoughts are in regards to the marathon distance. What's giving you the biggest problems right now? And what do you need to do differently in 2020 that you haven't done in the past? So I really appreciate your attention. Hopefully this video has been helpful for you, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.